Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you from around the world. And I'm Renu Juneja. I work in U.S. Medical Affairs Oncology at Johnson & Johnson Innovative Medicine. And first of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you, who have registered and who have joined and who have submitted questions to this webinar. Right? We are, all three of us co-presenters are so humbled and grateful for this overwhelming response. So Shalini told me that as of this morning, we have 393. Just let it sink in, 393 registrants for this webinar. So obviously, it's a hot topic. It's on everybody's mind. I think I'm going to show my age here now, that some of us do remember life before internet and after internet, right? And many of us going to remember life before AI and after AI. And I don't think we can even comprehend at this point that how it is going to change everybody's lives, not just ways of working, but also our lives. I don't think any one of us have crystal ball to clearly see at this point how it is going to change, right? So, we have worked very, very hard, and I would like to thank Crystallis, who actually initiated this whole conversation and topic about, we should talk about harnessing the power of AI in scientific publications. That's how it all started. And of course, then I got in and Elia, our friend, got in, right? And we have worked very hard to bring different perspectives on this webinar, right? So I'll be representing pharma side, and Shalini will be representing the agency side, and Elia will be talking publisher perspective, Elsevier. So we have worked very hard, and I hope you will enjoy, be engaged, ask your questions. If you didn't get a chance to, submit your questions, you will still have opportunity to submit your questions. So with that, I'm actually going to invite Shalini to come on and give us, little overview of what all is already happening with AI in scientific publications arena. And then, Elia will come on and give us, our publisher perspective. In my mind, AI train has already left the station. Now we just have to make sure and decide how to harness in scientific publications. So with that, Shalini, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Renu, for introducing the webinar to our audience. So, hello, everyone. My name is Shalini, and I have 17 years of experience in medical writing, which spans both regulatory medical writing and publications as well. So I have been in this space for long now, and I have seen how we have grown in the industry as medical communicators and as medical writers. When we started working on this particular topic and started understanding the feasibility of this, one thing that came to my mind was that when we started thinking about artificial intelligence specifically for scientific publications and how the discussion has grown over the years. So what I did was, out of curiosity, that I just thought that I'll go back 25 years from now and just check that how from 2000 onwards, how we have moved into AI space and what all have been discussed related to artificial intelligence into publications. So I just started with a very simple search string that you see here: artificial intelligence or AI, and medical writers or medical writing. So between 2000 to 2005, there were only 537 publications. But as we moved ahead, as of now, if you see that cumulatively how we have grown, especially discussing about artificial intelligence into science and scientific publications specifically. So cumulatively, it has increased quite a lot. And because I ran this search on 24th June 2024, if I would search using the same string today, I would definitely find again hundreds of publications which have been there increased within these 15 days. While I was looking for the literature, I also wanted to understand that what all things as medical communicators we are discussing in the industry. One very important aspect is that how artificial intelligence is going to affect scientific writing, reviewing, and editing. There have been a number of letters to editors I found. Then, although you see Chat GPT in the three publications whose faces you see here, but the screenshots also talk about Chat GPT, but there are several other tools that have been talked about in the industry. So, we also want to understand as medical communicators that what are the concerns and ethical considerations we should be evaluating before we start using AI or while we are using AI. In addition to that, because we are authors, our work goes to peer reviewers and then finally to editors. It is very important to understand that what we need to know as authors, what peer reviewers should know, and what editors should know. So, quite a number of publications have talked about that as well. Now, as a medical writer, I know my output that I want to write a review article or research manuscript, clinical study report, any patient friendly material, abstracts, education material. I also know that in what language, what style I'm going to write, whether it is going to be scientific or it is going to be plain. Then I also want to understand and know that what level of prompts I should be using to find a sizable and good first draft. While we talk about the prompts, then we have to also include certain restriction based on the output I want for my write-up. We know that AI has improved efficiency and it develops better, improves the readability of the content as well. Based on the ability of the tool, I would be able to do definitely good. I would be able to create a very good first draft. What AI has been supporting us until now is that it can help in query building and literature search. Then, if I have found thousands of articles, it is going to be quite a laborsome task for me if I'm going to manually screen all the articles. So, there are several tools that are available and that can help me screen the articles, that can appraise the content and help me extract the important articles for me and literature for me. Then it can also help analyze and prepare the report, create summary, and there are tools which can help me format the articles and my write-up too. In the industry, what we have observed until now that for certain type of documents, especially insight reports and plain language summaries, AI has been used more than it has been used for publications until now. We received about 64 questions through the webinar Greek, the portal that we are using for our webinar today. And quite a number of questions, about 10% of the questions were that what are some common tools which I can use for different purposes. So I have tried to categorize these into different type of purposes and the tools. There are certain tools which can serve more than one purpose. So you can find that GPT-4 is mentioned in summary and concept and trends as well. Research workflow as well as in literature search, you can find literal IO as well. So there are certain tools which may be useful for literature search, semantic search, summary, creating summary, understanding concepts and trends, creating research workflow as well. Then many of you may be aware about these tools which are specially created for reviews and proofreading. I have seen that Grammarly, Quillbot AI, Scribble, these are quite a number of tools that have been more often used by the medical writers and medical communicators. While we are gearing to use AI more, we have to understand that what process documentation we should have. There are several industry groups which have supported AI, and there have been discussions related to AI, which has talked about that if you are using AI for your write-ups, then you should disclose that. Definitely, if we are going to disclose that, then we should document that what iterations we had used to create AI generated content. And then we have to also share each prompt provided to AI. Then, as a service provider, I want to understand that what AI can and cannot, when AI can and cannot be used. So I want to understand the restrictions from customers. And then level of accuracy. While AI generates a good content, but internal QC processes are not fading away. So we have to be dependent on internal QC processes, because scientific validity of the content is very, very important while we generate any content. Then we also have to understand certain concepts, patents and copyright infringement, because the content has been generated by AI. Embracing the change is important for sure, but at the same time, not at the cost of data security and data privacy. So we have to understand that we are not putting the data at stake. We have to understand that data privacy is important, and we should use the tools which are safer to use and where we are not putting data at stake at any cost. As I said, that there have been about 64 questions we have received. We would be talking about after Elia has completed her presentation. But some of the questions I just wanted to share here, because Elia is going to cover some of these in her presentation. And then we would also be taking these questions once Elia has completed hers. So, Elia, I'm inviting you for your presentation now, and over to you. Thank you, everyone.
With much ado, let me go ahead and present. I will introduce myself. My name is Elia Lima Walton. I've worked at Elsevier for the past decade. And in AI, I am Director Data Science and Clinical Analytics Health. I'm a data science strategist and physician informaticist. One second.
And as Elia is, trying to bring her presentation, here she is, to stress the point that she's an MD and she has a big team of, you will see in her presentation, with higher scientific degrees, PhDs, masters in science and others. So very impressive, Elia, that,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm very excited to talk to the audience today. So just to give you a little bit of background and inform you a bit about Elsevier, we facilitate insights and critical decision-making for our global customers. We're in different areas of the world, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. We support in primary research, medical research, healthcare delivery. We support governments as well. On the bottom, you can see some of our flagship products. And really excited to highlight Clinical Key AI, Scopus AI, some of our newer solutions that we're providing. You can see that we do have over 1.1 million articles, over 1,300 plus journals in health and life sciences. And our ecosystem is quite large. We have over 400 data scientists, data engineers, and domain experts, clinicians, such as myself. And then we have several technical hubs. One of our largest ones is in Amsterdam, in London, Philadelphia, Chennai, and Bengaluru. We have over 9,000 employees serving over 180 countries for our customers. Very important for our discussion today, and just to mention, responsible AI is something that we're very serious about. We have our official write-up appearing under Elsevier's responsible AI principles. This is going to be across Elsevier as well as Relics, our parent company. And what we essentially do is we consider the real world impact of the solutions for our people. We also take action to prevent the creation of any sort of unfair bias. We create modeling that can help identify any sort of biases within data sets, within the models that we're developing, so that we don't do any sort of negative impact on the customers that we serve. We also are able to explain how our solutions work and we create accountability through human oversight. Every single algorithm or model that we're implementing into production is actually, it's tested really vigorously and has humans in the loop. We also respect the privacy and champion robust data governance principles, and we're very much aligned with the FAIR principles. So ensuring that the content, everything that we're developing is findable, that it's interoperable, that it's accessible, and it can be reusable. And a lot of the knowledge that we're extracting is codified and made machine readable into the products that we're building, into the guidelines that we're following, and the scalable solutions that we're building. So what is AI and what is generative AI? I know this is a very basic question, and a lot of you that have attended here today know quite a bit about this, but just in case, putting it in front of you, artificial intelligence refers to any sort of technology that can help simulate human intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. So it can mimic a person's reasoning, perception, problem-solving, and language use. With Gen AI, this is really an umbrella term that hit the market about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And this is essentially, this is models that are actually predicting the likelihood of a word given the previous text in use. And some of those that you're familiar with, maybe ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, etc. These are all different types of large language models. So while traditional AI can actually tell us what it sees and provide a bit of a reasoning for what it's seeing, generative AI can actually create something novel. And what we are actually doing is we're implementing the application of Gen AI technology to our trusted content. Is empowering workflows for the professionals making high value decisions. And this could be clinicians at the point of care, educators that are teaching their students, researchers, getting the latest in different technologies, helping with aggregating evidence through literature reviews, such as what Shalini did mention in her presentation. And of course, we want to make sure that everything that we are doing, all the solutions that we're building, has tight control, human oversight and control. So just to walk you through, what are we doing at Elsevier? We are creating a paradigm to support our trust in the Gen AI solutions we're building. We are doing this through implementation of a RAG system. I'm just going to walk you through what that looks like. The basic premise behind it is a user is actually typing in natural language their query. And what happens is this query is hitting our trusted knowledge to retrieve the information. And there is an extra layer that actually augments the knowledge that's going to be retrieved through a vector search. And essentially what it does is it uses semantics to be able to find content that's going to be similar or predicted to be most similar to what the output should be. By what we do is we create a prompt. So we end up telling that actual search string that the user is typing, please go ahead and identify the answer from our trusted knowledge source. And we're constraining it, we're grounding it to our trusted knowledge. And then there's an additional level of trust that we are implementing in our solution by providing the medical evidence or that trusted content and citation that shows the provenance so that the user can then validate the response. And so it's this circle that allows the user to check and ensure that there isn't any sort of hallucination or bias that is being retrieved. And the citation is helping with that validation process. Important to us, in addition to responsible AI principles and ensuring that the frameworks we're building have those checks in place, we also have developed computable content governance to ensure that the content that's being generated is relevant, has high quality output, it's evidence-based and bias-free, and it's legally compliant. Everything has gotten through its checks through the privacy and the legal team as well. We want to make sure that the data that we're producing doesn't propagate any sort of harm or hallucination, and that it's complete, that the answers being retrieved are relevant, they're factual, and they're accurate. We did mention that there is a human in the loop in every step of the process. This is just one example of how qualitatively we can use frameworks to mitigate any sort of biases or harmfulness in the modeling. And so we can see we have general guidelines to the process of what we're expecting domain experts to execute on in their evaluations. And then we do clear benchmarking and training to the subject matter experts that we have, known as SMEs. There's selection and loading, and then there's a ground truth where we can see, then we can actually load the content and do some sort of A/B testing so that we can get a sense of what that performance is for the qualitative evaluation and perform statistics on it.
Elia,
At Elsevier,
Elia, just a
yeah,
minute. Can you please hide this button, that the strip that is saying that Webinar Geek? Please hide on the message that says chris+webinargeek.com sharing your content. Can you please hide that? The ribbon that you see on your screen?
I'm
The
sorry,
small strip that, okay, this is fine if you are not able to see, this is okay.
I'm not able to see it. Sorry,
That's fine.
I just
That's
see
okay. Okay.
one screen in
Yeah.
front in presentation mode.
Go ahead, please.
Applying, okay. So this is just to highlight a few of the examples that we have at Elsevier where we are applying the right technology to tailor the right solutions to our global customers. A couple of examples, since I sit in health and health operations, a lot of the cases are health related. So being able to help identify any sort of trends in clinical notes, radiology reports, pathology reports, creating predictive analytics to do risk assessments. We even work very closely with our education partners to see if we can analyze and identify any sort of risks of students, for example, not doing well on examinations, and how to tailor the knowledge and training so that they can succeed. We're also supporting in drug discoverability and protein synthesis, clinical decision support by providing actionable answers, trusted content to help ground truth and direction for our clinicians. And we're also improving equity across global markets and locales through a lot of the efforts that we're doing in globalizing our products. So a lot of our products will have that look and feel in different locales to support our customers really well. Starring over here, I have a couple of my favorites. You can see like making science more accessible. We're providing audio descriptions, all text generation. How is it that we're using neural networks in the back end for the development of some of our different products to support and localization and adaptation and globalization of our different products. We're supporting medical and nursing education, promoting helping with the literature reviews, aggregating the evidence, and to be able to have the knowledge at their fingertips. There's so many different things. I could go on in a summary of what is available online. For authors, we encourage the use of generative AI to improve readability and language of the work. Any of the content or any sort of use of AI needs to be disclosed. And there's always, again, human oversight in the work that is being done. Also wanted to mention, we do not have Gen AI as a co-author. And for editors and reviewers, we are able to support through being able to assist in, should not be used in assisting and reviewing evaluation decision-making process. Absolutely, this is something that should go to the human. Human is the one to actually write the content. If it's if it's identifying the information and literature reviews, yes. Figures and images and artwork, it should be authentic, meaning that the author themselves need to actually create any sort of figures, images, and artwork. The exception is where the tools are part of the research design or research methods, and you can read that at your perusal. Now, one of our most exciting products that just did a launch not too long ago is Clinical Key AI. And what does this do is it's using a RAG system that I explained earlier in the back end. And essentially it supports a user, a clinician in their natural language query where they can write, as you can see, how do I treat my diabetic African-American patient that is elderly? We will see an actual summarization capability going on. And as highlighted before, not only is there the summarization into what the question is asking, but we're able to see where exactly this evidence is coming from. The user can actually click on those footnotes and learn a little bit more of the references and fact checked it. And then there's also the ability to do follow-up questions where the user can dive deeper into questions that are going to be very similar to what they've asked in their original string. Another great product that we just recently launched is Scopus AI. And with this, we are supporting researchers with concise, trustworthy AI-based summaries and evidence to support new queries. There's over 29,200 peer-reviewed journals here, over 77,000 publishers represented in it. Again, the user is actually able to type in their natural language queries. Summaries are supported over here. And again, we can see the footnotes where a user can actually dive deeper and learn a little bit more of the context of where is this content coming from. And then there's this request that came in through our customer testing that we can see we're able to see some sort of a knowledge graph representation where we can see a core concept along with those related relationships of different concepts surfacing. There are querying recommendations as well over here at the bottom to suggest further queries tailored to infer the user interest in areas of expertise. So in summary, it extracts, it synthesizes information very efficiently for our researcher community. A special thanks and shout out to my team. It's very interdisciplinary, our Elsevier family, and of course you, the audience, and Chris Dallas for hosting us. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Let's see, where are we? There we are. My email address is e.lima@elsevier.com.
Thank you, Elia. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
As you saw on the last slide, really, scientifically focused, team and a lot of work, right, going on behind the scenes. So Shalini, thank you for walking us through that, how AI is becoming more and more, popular and more talked about in medical communications as well as in publications. And I must say here that ISMAP, which is International Society for Medical Publication Professionals, is taking a pretty good lead on this topic as well. So if you want to find more about AI in scientific publications or different questions, I would suggest you guys to look at ISMAP, ismpp.org, right? And again, I was so amazed to see that how many tools are already out there, right? I remember earlier parts of my career, in 25-year long career, when I was writing publications, right? I really wished, if somebody gave me that genie lamp, I really wished, somebody could create my biblio, or somebody could format my journal, or somebody could, QC my manuscript, right? Or I saw, as you said, Shalini, that hundreds of manuscripts doing literature review, somebody could summarize it. Somebody could do gap analysis, right? It looks like 20 years later, but my wish is almost kind of coming true, right? Genie lamp worked little slowly, but it is still working, right? So really good to see that lot of progress in this area, right? And Elia, I am so impressed to see how much due diligence is going on behind the scenes by publishers, right? Elsevier and other publishers, right? So it gives confidence to us and sort of say trust that what we are doing with publishers, there is not just la la land, there is a whole science and whole due diligence going on behind the scenes, right? And the part you didn't talk about today is the collaborations with academia and collaboration with, scientific others, right? So it's not just you are in your own little world, but you are collaborating with, world renowned, academic centers and other medical centers, right? Very, very interesting. And I learned a lot, so that's the real fun of participating in these things that they say, to learn is to teach, right? So in order to come here and present, we had to go through that journey and learn, right? Kind of thing in there. So as Shalini, you said that we have tons of questions, right, coming in. So I'm going to hand it over to you and we're going to take almost full half an hour to answer audience questions or any question that you are entering now. So please feel free to enter more questions if you have anything in mind coming up after these two great presentations. So Shalini, back to you.
Sure. So, what I will do is that because some of the attendees have taken pain to share their question beforehand, so I will be taking couple of questions from there, and then there are certain questions in chat as well. So I will be taking those too.
Okay.
So the first question that I'm going to ask is Renu from you. That what recommendation would you give to a new joiner who wants to learn more about AI in medical communications? So this was one of the questions that has been asked in different languages by many people. So this had rated quite high.
Yeah. No, thank you. It's a great question, right? It's a great question. I tell you that, in the morning when I'm trying to write a quick text message to my daughters who live in New York City, AI wants to help me to write my message. I'm like, go away. I don't want you to help me, right? But I don't know how long I can say go away, right? Even when I'm typing, it is completing my sentences and my thoughts, right? Kind of thing in there. So, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think we can run away from AI. As I said, AI train has already left the station, right? So what I would recommend, and I have seen one of my colleagues at Johnson and Johnson, I learned with her, is Denise Fisher, that you just have to kind of get your hands dirty. That's the only way you're going to do it, right? If your company has the company specific AI tool, learn about that tool, learn about how to author, be an author in that tool, how to ask the right questions. I think, Elia, you mentioned that big time, and Shalini, you did as well. The prompts, right? The right prompts, right? So if you're trying to do a PLS from a key manuscript, you have to know that manuscript. You have to know that data to be able to ask the right questions or the right prompts in that, right? So my recommendation would be get started, get your hands dirty. That's the only way we're going to learn. And, maybe first time the draft comes out is lousy, not as good, but, with time we will all learn and all develop in there. Shalini, anything to add from you?
So I would just say, as a medical writer and as a mentor to a medical writing team, that it is important to know the technology, how it can be used. This is also very important to know. But then mentors should also ensure to give sufficient time to those who are learning, because developing content, writing content and evaluating content for its scientific accuracy, these are two different aspects. And as medical writers, we should be validating the information before presenting it to the audience. So while we use technology to prepare a document, we should know everything about the writer: what, how, and why. So read about the guidelines, templates, and best practices. Apply AI, but know these things to improve your content and write a scientifically accurate content actually. So yeah, that would be my take on it, Renu.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, we have to give time whenever, and I must say that in my mind, writers or people in scientific publication or in any job who will embrace AI will replace people who will not embrace AI, right? Because I mean, can you imagine doing your work today without internet? It's impossible, right? So with time, we're gonna get there. That we'll work with AI. So I totally agree with you that when people are developing new skills, we have to be patient, we have to be coaching and helping, right? So the next question is actually very interesting. AI as co-author in publication. I think Elia addressed that, but still, do we need to cite Chat GPT or Gemini or other, tools in the manuscript? And I must, before Shalini, I let you answer that question, is I have seen those days when ghost writing articles were published on the front pages of New York Times and Wall Street Journal, right? There was a lot of talk about ghostwriting and, real big challenge or our whole scientific communications or publication group being under the microscope. We have made a lot of progress with good publication practice guidelines coming from ISMAP. We don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward. We want to be mindful. We want to think through it, that what is, the right way to do about it. But Shalini, what do you think?
So, okay. So I would talk about what ISMPP says about using AI and then saying that it's a co-author. But apart from that, I would also like to mention about ICMJ criteria as well for authorship. So I would say that ICMJ criteria says that authorship implies responsibilities and tasks that can only be attributed to and performed by humans. So actually, it is authors who are ultimately responsible and accountable for the content of their work. It's not AI. AI would be able to help you write, but owning that content is your responsibility. So AI should not be used as an author. Apart from that, I also looked at various publishers' website and found out very relevant information from Elsevier. I'll read that. It says that AI can improve readability and language of the work and not replace key authoring tasks such as producing scientific or medical insights, drawing scientific conclusions, or providing clinical recommendations. Applying the technology should be done with human oversight and control, and all work should be reviewed and edited carefully because AI can generate authoritative sounding output that can be incorrect, incomplete, or biased. And I completely agree. I mean, Elsevier has completely written it in just two sentences, but it actually means a lot that you cannot use AI as a co-author because it would not have a mind to evaluate the content that you have written. So, if someone feels that we should be citing Chat GPT or Gemini as a co-author, it should not be done.
Right. But it should be acknowledged, right?
Yes, it should
It
be
should be
acknowledged.
transparent
Yes,
that you've used AI and for what task or what purposes, right?
correct.
So in
Correct.
order to be, again, totally ethical and not going
Yes.
back in those days, of having ghostwriting on the front pages of newspapers, we need to be transparent and say, this is where we use AI and this is, how it kind of helped, right? That's why you said, Shalini, that document where you are using AI and where,
Yes.
right? So, Elia, next question to you. What are the optimal inputs for best results in using AI for medical writing?
You say optimal inputs. It's really about depending what that purpose is.
Right.
So there's so many different ways to craft prompts and so many different applications in AI for research and manuscripts. I'd say that just to echo what Shalini said, for when it comes to evidence identification or for searching, it's great to use it. It should be disclosed. There are a lot of tools that embed and help with search, but in producing any of the content, no, not acceptable. In that if it's producing the actual content, it takes away the authenticity of an author. So with regards to your question on medical writing, it should be more of evidence aggregation, literature reviews, and limiting it more to that. And also there are applications in some of the products that we're building that actually do that literature review for you automatically, so that then the author can fact check those evidence pieces and get to the knowledge faster.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there was a question about that, you use AI, but you don't disclose it, right? I would say that is point blank unethical, not acceptable,
Exactly.
right? And we
Exactly.
all have to, if we're going to use AI for things that you just mentioned, Elia, and help us, right? We have to build that trust. we have to build that we are being transparent and we are using it, right? So
Uh,
Shalini, I'm going to ask another question from Elia. Meanwhile, you can look at if there are some
Yeah,
questions popping up in
sure.
the text.
Yeah.
So Elia, what are did mention this, but what guardrails do you think should be applied to AI use, right? How can a reader determine to what extent AI has been used in a journal article if not declared, right? Kind of thing. So we are talking about now policy, SOPs, guidelines, because we need those kind of documents to guide us, right?
yeah,
What we can do or cannot do, right? With
right.
AI.
So there should be disclosure, like disclosure with the editors, knowing what is permitted, what is not permitted, and in areas where it is permitted, descriptions that provide guidelines to or recommendations to enable that process. If we're developing any sort of a solution, an AI solution in health, the way, or in some of the examples that I showcased, there's always some sort of guidelines, even for those domain experts that are validating the performance of any of the solutions that we've built, so that there's that clear understanding. We also want to make sure that there's proper documentation of the whole process, that it's compliant with legal and responsible AI teams, etc. So documentation is very important in building that trust and ensuring that there is no infringement of anything sensitive.
Right, right. No, absolutely. And I think GPP guidelines will get updated, ICMJ gets updated, right? Our own company's SOPs and guidelines get updated, right? We will have to, and I think initially, like with any new technology, there will be more work, more documentation, right? It may actually slow us down rather than speed it up, right? But with time, as AI learns more and we get that, a trust and that guidelines and SOPs in place, then the speed will pick up, right? But that also reminds me, Elia, that with the speed picking up, publications being submitted, at a shorter period of times, hopefully with that efficiency and everything, there will be pressure on publishers as well to get those publications out quickly, right? Do quickly, get that, not like that 3 to 6 months that takes now, but how do we, speed up the process of conception to completion for that publication? I joke it that, publication takes almost same time as giving birth to a baby, right? 9 months, 9 months to 12 months, right? But with AI, with efficiency, with time, with guidelines and trust, hopefully that will all pick up and shorten the time. So Shalini, any question you saw that you would like
Yes.
to
Yeah.
comment? Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some questions for Elia. So one is, do you use commercially available LLMs or an in-house one trained on scientific sources?
We do have our in-house solutions that is protected within our safe environment and doesn't allow any sort of information to leave. Everything's in a safe environment. We should be aware also, even if we're not in that safe environment, say for instance a person is at home using their personal computer, always be very mindful of the content that is going out and going in. At Elsevier, we are doing our best to ensure that everything's in a safe, um, firewalled space. And if any content or interaction is with a model, any sort of generative AI model, it will be like locally. It could be done locally so that it's protected. And the reason being, like we just said, a lot of these models, they may look like the answer is very credible, trustworthy, because they're very proud in how they answer and logical, but we want to make sure that anything that is being created, that we know that it's coming from our trusted content, and that um that it's not propagating any sort of hallucination or any sort of lies or anything that would be wrong or really negatively affecting our customers.
Yeah. Okay. And
Any other question, Shalini? Go ahead.
yes,
Sorry.
there is one more for Elia. That are you seeing an uptick in AI acknowledgement in submissions?
So when it comes to submissions, I'll be honest. You can connect with me, whoever's put in the question, and I'll put you with the right person. My team deals with data science health, and so it's more on the clinical analytics side. But I know that in research, we are doing things to identify authenticity of papers. If there is any sort of plagiarism, we have tools to identify how true things are. And yeah, just, uh, just ask that last part again. Just want
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm
Yeah.
covering.
And if you could talk about hallucination due to AI use.
Hallucination could be any sort of answer that looks true. It's very sounding true in its answer, but it's typically when an LLM goes and produces something that's based on a prediction. So it doesn't really have that like reasoning per se capability or all omniscient type ability. It's producing something that sounds real but isn't real. And the human in the loop can do that fact check, can look up the evidence that is suggested if there's a RAG system in the back end to test it, or use their domain expertise to validate it, and actually knows how to distill what's incorrect from what's correct.
Okay. Thanks, Elia.
You're
And
welcome.
Renu, there is one question for you as well.
Sure.
That how is the use of AI incorporated into policy documentations? Is this information also included in the contracts and agencies and freelancers?
Yeah, I think it's work in progress at this time, right? It is all work in progress at this time. That how do we want to? I mean, I have started asking that question of my agency partners, right? Where are they using AI? Are they using efficiency? And $1 million question: are you reducing cost, right? In there, so we have started asking those questions, but I'm not sure it has made into policies or SOPs and other things yet, right? But those questions are definitely being asked. And and that was also one of the questions: that do pharma companies want to know where agencies are using AI, and how much they are saving? Absolutely, right? We want to be true partners, and I would say agency partners who would share and be transparent and also share the savings with their clients will be the preferred ones, right? We all want to know that one of my agency partner is doing PLS. Yeah, sure, but you're getting the first draft, hopefully by AI. So, how much is that saving, and how much, and initially it may not be, because you still have to do a lot of editing and a lot of QC and other stuff. But to answer your question, I think it's work in progress, including it in policies and guidelines and SOPs, and even not just from the company perspective, but also from ICMJE perspective and GPP perspective, right?
Mhm.
Kind of, we are in that transition phase. But to answer also the question about acknowledgements, right? Shalini's first slide did show that numbers are being up and up and up AI into the publications. Either they are using AI or they are acknowledging AI or something like that, which is encouraging, right? Which is definitely encouraging. But we have to get to a place where if you use AI, there is not even a question that you have to disclose it, that you used AI and for what purposes and things,
Yeah.
right?
And
Um,
then I have one related question, Renu, that while we are talking about digitization, and Ilya, you can comment on that as well once Renu has provided her perspective. How can we manage the digital fatigue aspect? I do feel that digitization is taking away a lot of our humanity.
yeah, I mean, it is. It really depends on how you look at it, right? How you really say what digitization is, right? And I would be the first one to say I'm not on Twitter or Instagram or other things, right? But the reality is, in our world, that I think by 2030 or a little bit after 2030, 50% of our HCPs are going to be millennials or younger, right? And they are all tech savvy. So what is the main purpose of publication? Like somebody said to me, if you generate the best data in the world, but you do not communicate it to the right audience in the right channel in the right format, it is almost like you produced a movie, you but didn't release it, or released it only at a very limited theaters, right? So we have to keep it in in our minds that who's our target audience and where are they going to learn about it, right? I mean, I don't think the actual publications are going to go away, the printed versions or the online versions of the publications, but publications coming every day and literature doubling in 67 days, right? HCPs can't keep up with all the new information. So it is going to be those, like, what are they calling now? Tweetorial on Twitter, Instagram, Ankh Live, these small nuggets of knowledge and information. And a figure, you look at a figure, it's so like, data visualization, you look at the figure and you get it, what this data is saying, right? So I think it is hard, it's very hard. I still want to read my New York Times holding the paper in my hand. I'm not able to read it online, I will be the first one to admit, and my books in my hand. But we have to change and adapt, with the changing environment, otherwise we'll be left behind. It's as simple as that, right? Kind of thing.
Ilya, you want to add anything on this one?
Well, I think Renu spoke well to it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So Shalini, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So you said that you have spent a lot of your career in medical writing, right? And now with the AI coming, it's a different skill set. It's a different ways of working, right? Do you think, what are the kind of pros and cons of using AI, right? Where AI can help medical writers or where it can hurt medical writers, if they are not careful or they are not on top of their game, right?
Okay. So I would say that as a medical writer, it is very important that I know the science, what I'm going to write. I know about the subject. If I do not know about it, I would like to learn. When I want to understand any specific concept that I'm not aware about, what I do is that I just use certain prompts in ChatGPT to understand. If I have to create an outline about something that I'm going to write, but I'm not able to gather my thoughts around that, then I would create an outline using ChatGPT. But when it comes to writing the content and then evaluating it against the references that I might be using in my article, then it would be my content. So I would not be using it for writing results for sure. I may be using it for identifying information related to introductions. Maybe certain information I can definitely identify for my discussion, but definitely not the results and methodology. I would not be using AI for writing the methodology, and the results section. I would definitely like to understand the concept, a concept which I can develop gradually after reading important articles around that particular topic. So that is what I mean. I generally tell my team as well that AI is helping you, but definitely don't leave behind your scientific acumen. It is very important that what content you are producing, it is going to be your content only when you write it and you know what you have written.
Right. Absolutely. Scientific acumen is the foundation, right? And our analytical skills and able to make sure it is, working and all. Elia, any question from you?
No, just I would just add that always keeping in mind implementing data science Gen AI for good. So never compromising, ethics or privacy or anything that isn't right. And really it's to help empower those that are doing their job, the researcher, the writer, whoever, the clinician, but it's not taking away the place of the knowledge or the people with the knowledge. It's empowering people to make decisions, is how I see it.
Right. I mean, many companies are using, right, for insights. We get information from MSLs, advisory boards, author engagements, other stuff. So it's too much, right? And companies are, I know, using AI tools to really look at the themes or the trends. So that those are the kind of things where, but again, I have seen AI tool give you a theme that doesn't make any sense, right? Because MSL used that or somebody else used those words or phrases number of times, but it is not really actionable insight, right? Kind of thing. So you do need that human oversight and other things, right?
Yep.
So, Elia, I don't know if you can answer this, or we can, look at what about copyrights? What about, patent or something, discoverability, especially the copyright part, right? Now copyright laws and things are very clear on, you use this figure, the publisher has the copyright, and, and let's say a figure was created with the help of AI. How do the copyright and other things, or are we still thinking and evolving into that field?
So with copyright, I did have a slide that kind of spoke a little bit to
Yeah,
it, like
yeah,
what our official stance is.
yes,
We definitely, anything that is out there that we're doing, we make sure that all agreements have been investigated, that we're aligned with privacy teams, the legal team, that there is no copyright infringement, that if there's a mention of any sort of author of the piece of content that's being surfaced, that rightful credit is given to that author that actually stated it, and the content that we're surfacing. I'd say that would be like what we're doing.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, those things need to be really thought through and everything. Now, I'm just going to give you this big, quick round. Any last word from, any one of you, I mean, Elia and then Shalini? My last word is buckle up, really buckle up and get ready, because it's going to come, and it's going to come our way, and be prepared. Don't think AI as your foe. Embrace it and make it your friend. Elia or Shalini,
Just
whoever
to
is
add
ready.
to that, I know that earlier in the presentation, you did mention that we are doing a lot of research and academic collaborations. Just at Elsevier alone last year, we had over 81 AI collaborations with universities and other companies out there. And I will say that the more you can learn, the better. Knowledge is great. It empowers. And so AI is no exception, and Gen AI, the more you can learn and start to get your hands dirty, the way one of you mentioned in the call earlier, I would encourage that.
Yeah, Shalini.
And my last word would be that as medical communicators are not the ones who would just copy paste what information they have obtained from AI. We are strategists as well. So understand that a particular aspect, develop yourself, develop your skills to identify what you are going to write. That's it from me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Reema.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, sticking with us and submitting all these questions. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you to both my co-presenters, making it really engaging and interesting. I learned a lot. Hope you did as well. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.